Welcome to week 6 of embodied knowing and developing your intuition through the chakras. So wonderful to be on this journey with you. Our focus this week is on the third eye chakra, the center of perception, intuition, imagination, and mind. Last week we explored the throat chakra and its connection between the heart and the spiritual chakras. The throat chakra is the center of expression, authenticity, and will. What was one thing that stood out to you most about the throat chakra? I know for me, I had an interesting experience or experience of awakening to my own throat chakra when I had a family member ask me a question. And I began to answer, but I got choked up. And I realized in that moment that I didn't actually want to answer the question. I started answering it out of politeness, people-pleasing, but in reality, my will, the will part of me, connected to the expression, didn't actually want to express or didn't actually want to answer the question. So continue to pay attention to those moments where the throat chakra is either overactive or underactive. And again, I enjoy hearing what stood out to you most, if there was a moment that really stood out to you when we centered around the throat chakra. So this week, it's one of my favorites, the third eye chakra, also known as ajna, is the Sanskrit word for third eye. This is the realm of perception, imagination, what I call knowingness, seeing with your mind's eye. And we will also look at this week how the third eye is connected to our lower chakras and how to keep that continual flow going. The color of the third eye is indigo. And again, it's the place of seeing, of internal sight, internal hearing, that knowingness, that knowingness that we also connect with our gut. The third eye is connected to your eyes, the base of your skull, your brow, and your pituitary gland. One of the challenges with this chakra when it's out of balance is illusion. Our minds are beautiful things, but without time for reflection and tuning in, we can get caught up in our own illusions of reality, missing the truth of a situation or an experience. So part of the work of the third eye is learning how to detach from those illusions, from the things that we hold on to so tightly. And we'll come to this in a minute. So signs of the third eye being overactive include indecisiveness, fuzzy judgment, along with being judgmental, overly analytical, full of anxiety. There's a mental fog, mentally overwhelmed. There's excessive daydreaming. And physical signs connected to that include headaches, eye discomfort, back and leg pain, and sinus pain. Yes, third eye is connected to those lower chakras and back and leg pain. So to balance the chakra, it is important to come back to those lower chakras and get into your physical being. We want to go from so much overwhelm and overactiveness in mind back into the body. So we can do that by connecting back to our root and sacral chakras through exercising, going outside, being creative, opening up to wisdom, new ideas and understandings, meditate, dance, sing, anything that will help get you from here back here. You can also try eating dark chocolate, any type of purple food such as grapes and purple potatoes, which by the way are amazing, as well as getting enough omega-3s in your diet. What I find fascinating about the omega-3s is that omega-3s really protect all of our cells. They're the membrane, the coating around our cells are made up of omega-3s. And this includes the neurons that are constantly firing in our minds. So we certainly want our third eye chakra and our minds feeling safe and protected, even at a cellular level, so that we can allow ourselves to fully open to our intuition, imagination, and spiritual callings. And from Carolyn Myss's book, the primary fears of the third eye chakra include an unwillingness to look within and uncover one's fears, fear of one's shadow and what those attributes are, fear of truth, of one's that fear of the truth that one's reason is clouding, so that illusion, and uncovering what might be behind that illusion. Fear of sound, realistic judgment, also a fear of relying on external counseling, and of discipline. The strengths include intellectual abilities and skills, evaluation of conscious and unconscious insights, really receiving that inspiration, generating great acts of creativity and intuitive reasoning. And that is emotional intelligence. When we can connect our mind and our emotions together into balance, when we can connect that sacral creativity with our intuitive reasoning and spiritual insights. So this chakra is multifaceted for sure, just like all the others. And it asks us to continually be open to, aware of, and seek the truth versus our own illusions. We all have our own, what I like to call our own lenses that we see things in. And sometimes we need to take those lenses off to see something different. And this is where applying that detachment is really important. Detachment does not mean that you stop caring about whatever you're attached to, that illusion, that identity, but it does mean stilling the fearful voices, quieting them down, and reconnecting back to your own center and your connection with God, Goddess, Spirit, the Divine. And I really appreciate how Dr. Myss describes detachment. Quote, "In becoming conscious, one is able to detach from subjective perceptions and see the truth or symbolic meaning in a situation." End quote. So when we have clarity of mind and of self, working through our other chakras, with detachment and a sense of playfulness, that is the essence of wisdom, and that is the power within the third eye and the sixth chakra. You might be wondering then, like, Kristen, how do I learn to detach from desires, illusions, open myself up to new ways of seeing and being? Well, I can tell you I have a lot of tools, and I can also tell you that I am continually in process of learning the benefits and the power of detachment. The first thing I've learned that's been really important is to actually acknowledge the desire, acknowledge the illusion, the situation, the feeling for what it is. That this is a desire, this is something I am attached to, and being willing to sit with it, even if it means being uncomfortable in that moment. The uncomfortable feelings will subside. To me, those feelings are sometimes those clouds that hide the light behind. So we don't want to deny our attachments and the things we really desire, because if we do, they'll only continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's like we're holding on to them for dear life. So the goal is to just slowly release, let it go. Easier said than done sometimes. I get it. Trust me. I did a letting go tapping this morning, and I'll explain more of that in a minute. So again, first is just being willing to sit with your attachments and acknowledge them as such. The second then is being willing to take what you're clinging to so tightly and to ask yourself some deeper questions. What is it about this attachment that I feel like I just need or that I desire so much. What's really underneath it here? Is it connected to some of these other chakras of desiring relationship and job or money? Like, what is the deeper desire underneath that? Are there fears associated with this attachment if you don't get it? Are there fears associated with letting a certain sense of your own self-perception go? If so, what are they then? So after taking time to journal and reflect and really kind of uncover the layers underneath that attachment, just be with it for a minute and really acknowledge that. Again, honor it. And then you can create some physical rituals so it gets out of mind, body, into the physical. That way we're releasing it. So it's almost like acknowledge, let go, acknowledge, let go. Sometimes what I've done is, okay, I'm here, I need to let it go. Woo. Another practice I've done is if that desire or attachment comes up, I write it on a piece of paper and I put it in my prayer box. If it comes up again, write it down again, put it in my prayer box. If it comes up again, write it down, put it in a prayer box. Eventually, that repetition will help kind of get it out and release those like white fisting it. And it's like, okay, it's okay. I'm letting it go. Sometimes it takes time. Another great way of releasing attachments that I've found is through a body exercise called emotional freedom technique or tapping. I will include a link in our email to make sure that you have a great video by someone who I trust and value on how to do tapping. And then I can also lead you in a tapping exercise on our next Sacred Circle call. And please contact me if you have any further questions around detachment, because there are many, many ways of detaching. But I want to share tapping, the EFT, with you as one of the main tools that I've used and has been really helpful in my life. So the third eye chakra, along with all the others, again, it's multifaceted and absolutely brilliant in its energetic knowings and ways of being. It is important, though, to remember that healing and balance really begins with one simple step. And that simple step might actually be to just sit and breathe. So keep this simple and commit to doing one thing this week that's connected to awakening your truth, awakening your being, awakening your glorious imagination, and tuning into the power and the benefits of detachment. For in detachment, that is where we can allow the universe, God, to work many, many miracles in our lives because we've opened ourselves up. Our palms are facing out, open, ready to receive, rather than clenched and holding on tight. A miracle, according to Marianne Williamson, is a shift in perception. So what a marvelous way to embrace, to begin to know and understand our third eye centers, that it is a center of miracles and shifts in perceptions.